Tron Legacy is a movie that didn't really get the love that it deserved back then, unfortunately. But it's a movie that in recent times it's been getting a lot of reapproval, a lot of reappraisal, and it makes me happy, honestly, because, spoiler alert, I love Tron Legacy. This movie right here is one of my favorite movies of all time, in my opinion. It's probably my favorite Disney movie, or it is my favorite Disney movie. It's my favorite sequel to any movie, and I just really love Tron Legacy, and I kind of want to throw in my own 2 cents on why I love Tron Legacy. If the title is kind of a spoiler, because I love Tron Legacy. I think it's a truly fantastic movie that has a lot of really good things, in my opinion, and it feels like it didn't get the love it deserved back then. Again, nowadays, not so much. This movie gets talked about a lot. A lot of people have a lot of positive things to say about this movie now, and like I said, it makes me happy. And while Ares wasn't the follow-up I really wanted, even though I didn't hate that movie, but I have a video about that discussing it anyway, its own review. So without further ado, let me tell you why I love Tron Legacy and why it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, I'm not gonna do this in my typical review. I'm actually gonna separate my pros into like one individual section of the video. As for cons, I'm just gonna get them out of the way right now because I honestly don't have a lot of bad things to say about this movie. The only bad things I can say about this movie is that the CGI used for young Jeff Bridges doesn't look great. It hasn't aged the best, but you know, that technology is revolutionary for its time, and it did pioneer how it's used nowadays, de-aging. It's just for its first attempt, at least I'm pretty sure this was like the first attempt at that. It doesn't look the best. Like, I think it works for Clue, but it doesn't work for young Kevin, so it does look a little off. Another thing I didn't like is the fact that Bruce Boxleitner, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, isn't really in the movie that much, unfortunately, and I think that's a shame. But yeah, he's basically a cameo. I kind of wish he had a bigger role. That goes for both, well, mostly as Alan. As Tron, I don't want to give away too much. Like, yeah, Tron's in it, but I don't want to say how. So I'll get into that a little later. And that's it, honestly. Can't really think of anything else bad to say about the movie. Like, granted, I love this movie, so it's really hard for me to think of some bad things for it. But yeah. Oh, and I guess one thing is that the identity of Rensler is pretty obvious who it is. Like, the insignias in his costume. But that's it, really. That's all the bad things I have to say about Tron Legacy. So I'm just gonna transition into one of the first positives I'll give for this movie. So without further ado, let's just get right to it. First positive I got is the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack of Tron Legacy. It's probably not even, it is the best soundtrack for any movie. It's made by, or it's composed by Daft Punk. I love Daft Punk. They're one of my favorite musicians. And the soundtrack they made for this movie was absolutely fantastic. Even for people who don't like Tron Legacy, the one thing that everyone agrees upon is that the soundtrack was great. Like, it kicks ass. Excuse my language, but it really does kick ass. I love it. It's both epic, emotional, and catchy. Like, and it works well for the movie. Like, it adds to the atmosphere of the film, and it adds to the scenes where the soundtrack is used, especially towards the end. But yeah, if it's hard to me to pick which soundtrack I really like, or which track in the soundtrack I like the most, but if I really had to pick, I'd say probably Disc Wars, but the one that's used towards the third act. Derez is a fantastic song. I love that song so much. What else? Again, it's really hard for me to pick because there's so many good ones. End of Line, I think that one's really good. The end credit song is also really catchy. Oh, and the one they use for the light cycle scene, I forgot what it's called, but the soundtrack they use for that is absolutely fantastic. But that's one of the first positives I can give for Tron Legacy. The soundtrack is just absolutely amazing, and I love it. Like I said, I listen to it a lot on my Spotify. Another positive I can give is the action scenes. I think the action scenes are all very well done. My favorite has to be the light cycle battle. That entire sequence is amazing. It is a nice and fresh update to the original light cycle scene we got in the original 80s film, which is my favorite scene in that movie. But in this one, it's just done so much better because the CGI looks so much better, which I'll get into later. And the scene is just so epic. I love the redesigns for the light cycles, the updated designs. They look absolutely amazing. And that entire sequence is just very exciting. It's the scene that I look forward to the most whenever I rewatch this movie. And I rewatch this movie a lot. That scene is just epic with the soundtrack in the background and everything that's happening in it. It's just fantastic. It's my favorite scene in the movie. Another good scene is the disc war scenes. I thought that was really good in my opinion. It's also really well done. Again, another nice little update. Well, kind of. That wasn't really in the original film. Something like that was in it, but not really. But it's just really cool. I really like the disc war scene. It's really epic in my opinion. I love where it takes place, and it's just some really good action. And another scene that I love is I guess, what's it called? Oh, I'm so sorry. The light jets is, I guess, what they're called. That entire sequence is also just really nice. I really enjoy that scene. In general, the movie just has really good action, in my opinion. It's very exciting, um, and it's just really good. Oh, another one is the club scene. The action scenes in that are absolutely fantastic. I love them. Not much to say, but this movie has really good action in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. It's very well done. Positive I got is a mixture of a lot of things, but one of the things I love about this film is the costumes. I think the costumes look fantastic. They're a nice modern interpretation of the costumes before. I definitely prefer these ones over the original one, even though I don't hate the original one. But I just think the ones they used in this movie look a lot better. I love the lighting, the black suits, everything about it. It looks great. If I had to pick who had the best costume, it's probably Clue. Like, Clue has the best looking costume, along with Sam, Cora, and the rest of the cast. It looks amazing. I love the clothing they use for this movie. And another thing I love is the CGI. Like, it looks amazing. The way this movie looks, the grid, it looks fantastic and has aged beautifully. And another fun fact about this, well, a fun fact about the movie is that the director, Joseph Kosinski, was actually an architect. So he used his knowledge for this film to create all these buildings and visualize them in this movie. And it looks amazing. I absolutely love it. And I think it works. Like, it looks great. This movie is beautiful to look at. It has great cinematography, great atmosphere, and it's just great. The grid has never looked better. It is a nice modern update to the original grid, and I definitely prefer the grid in this movie over the original. It's just a step up in every way. Like, I absolutely love it. The next positive I got is the story, and it's kind of like a mixture of a lot of things that I love about the story. But let me get one of the things out of the way is the idea of the ISOs. I find that very interesting, having some kind of life form come out of nowhere in the computer, and it asks a lot of philosophical questions about it. And I thought that was really interesting. But the main story about the movie is Kevin Flynn goes missing for a really, really long time. And Sam wonders about it, like wonders where his father went, and it affects him a lot as a kid. And I think the way the movie tells all that is very well done. The journey he goes through from receiving the page to go find out what happened to his dad to when he enters the grid, and the journey he goes through in that is really good. Like, I like the story personally. I'll get more into it a little bit, at least for the characters in the next section, but I quite enjoyed the story. I thought it was very emotional at times, at least in my opinion. It definitely gets me a little teary-eyed, especially the ending. It's just very well done. It's well paced. It doesn't feel long, in my opinion. It's just a really good story. I enjoy the story of Tron Legacy. I thought it was really good, and it's way more interesting than the story of the original Tron. Not that that was bad, but I find the story in this movie more captivating, in my opinion. Granted, like I said, a lot of it is because I grew up watching this movie, but I never get bored watching this film. Never. Every time I always pop it in, I'm always engaged. I think the story of this film is great, and it's very well done. Now, I'm gonna explain it more in the character section of the film, or the character segments, because I have a lot to say about the characters in this movie, because I love the characters of this movie. I think they're very, very good. But in general, the story, in my opinion, is good. It has a nice beginning, middle, and end, and I think it's all very well paced, at least in my opinion. I enjoy it a lot. One thing this movie gets flack on, which I disagree, is the characters. I actually think the characters are very well written. I enjoyed all of them. Even Sam. Like, I know Sam kind of gets a lot of flack, but I disagree. I think Garrett Hedlund is great as Sam. He gives a great performance. He works well in the serious scenes and he does well in the emotional scenes. I enjoy the journey that Sam goes through. He's a man that lost his father at a young age. Like, his father disappeared for a long time, and the movie shows us how the relationship between Sam and Kevin was before he disappeared. They had a very good relationship. So when Kevin does disappear, it affects Sam. It affects him a lot. It affects him deeply, and he misses his dad. So he does things in his adult life that kind of does make him a little jaded. Like, he visits his father's company every once in a year to pull a prank on them. But I feel like he does that because, one, he doesn't like how that company has tainted his father's image. Like, they tainted the company that his father helped create. And I think it's just that's the one way he has of connecting with him before getting into the grid and finding out what happens to his dad. That was the one way he had to connect with his father. Like, you can tell the disappearance of his dad affects him very deeply, even though he doesn't like to show it. Especially when Alan tells him about it, like confronts him about it. He doesn't like to admit that it has affected him. He pretends like he doesn't care, but deep down he does. He wants to know what happened to his dad, and he misses him very dearly. And when he does get to meet him again, when he enters the grid, it's a very nice and emotional scene, and I want to see these two get out of this film so they can, have that father and son relationship that they had back then. And the movie does a really good job of showing us how they catch up throughout the runtime of this film. Like, there are really a lot of nice emotional scenes between these two characters, the conversations they have. It's really well done. And eventually, when things go south, which I won't get into a little bit because I'll probably talk about that more in Kevin, but you feel the emotions, man. Like, it for me it works. I like Sam. I think he is a good character, and I feel like he gets too much flack. In my opinion, he is good, and I think Garrett Hedlund does a fantastic job. I also love the relationship he has with Cora, which, let's talk about the other characters real quick. Let's start with Cora. Cora is fantastic. She is one of the best characters, is not, if not, the best character in the movie. I absolutely loved her. I love her demeanor, her childlike wonder she has in the film, and how she wonders how the real world looks like. Her relationship with Kevin and Sam is very well done. Her relationship with Kevin is like father and daughter like, and I think it's nicely done. And the relationship that she develops with Sam is just really nice. Like, they develop a sibling bond, and I think it's very well done. And you can tell by the end of the film that these two care about each other very deeply, and I just think it's wonderful. And like I said, Olivia Wilde is fantastic as Cora. I love her in this film, and she's just very well done. As for Kevin, he's definitely a lot different than he was in the first film. He's a lot more wiser, more mature. He's a little he's a little bit immature, somewhat. Not really in the beginning. I mean, you can kind of, not really, no, not really. Like, he is wiser and more mature. A lot of the immature aspects of him that he had in the first film is inherited by someone else, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, I think Kevin is just really good, and Jeff Bridges is wonderful in the film. Like I said, the emotional scenes between him and Sam when they reunite, it's just really good. Like, it gets to me. And eventually, when, like I said, when things do go south and Kevin has to do something to help out his son and Cora, it works. Like, the scene I'm talking about, I'm just gonna go into spoilers. Like, the scene I'm talking about is the bridge scene. That entire sequence is just so wonderful. Like, it gets to me. I feel the emotions when Kevin has to say goodbye to Sam and save him from Clue. And it's just really well done. I think Jeff Bridges is fantastic in the movie. Like, you can tell that he missed his son in the grid, and he longed to see him again, and he had a lot of regrets that he wished he could have been a part of Sam's life. He wished that he didn't let his ambitions blind him, and it takes him a while to realize, like, through staying in the grid for so long, he realized that the perfect thing that he was looking for, because in the movie he's trying to create the perfect system, but in reality, perfection, the way we view it, is all around us. Like he says, it was right in front of him, his son. That was everything. That was his perfection, and he just couldn't see that until it was taken away from him. And when they reunite, it's just very well done. Again, I love Jeff Bridges in this film. He gives a wonderful performance, and I think the emotional scenes really work for me, in my honest opinion. And I think the characters in this movie are just all very well written, very well done, and I love them. I really do. They're some of my favorite set of characters in a movie, and this movie just does a wonderful job with them. Now let's talk about Clue. Clue, in my opinion, is probably the best villain put into film. He has all the negative aspects of Kevin that he had when he was younger because he is a creation made by Kevin. So he inherited a lot of his worldviews when he was younger, when he was blinded by his desire to create the perfect system. So when Kevin eventually evolves from that thinking, Clue cannot because he's a program. That's how he was designed. So it makes him a little tragic because he can't change his worldview. He's stuck that way no matter how hard he tries or wants to. He just can't change it. And he's a very menacing villain too. Like, he is very scary in this movie, and I think he's well done. I love Clue in this film. He's fantastic. And again, the bridge scene when Kevin confronts and apologizes to Clue for giving him this mindset that he inherited when he was younger. Like, it hits, man. You can tell that Clue felt hurt by Kevin when he thought the eye souls were like the solution, when Clue didn't see it that way. He saw them as an imperfection. So he was hurt by the fact that Kevin saw it that way. He was also hurt by the fact that Kevin just spent a lot more time with Sam, because Clue is like a son to Kevin. And Kevin kind of failed him as a father. And Clue is affected by that. And he just can't understand why his creator, his worldview changed. He just can't. And he just can't accept it. Even though towards the end, I feel like when Kevin does apologize to him, there's a little inkling that he wants to accept that apology. He really does. But deep down, he just can't. And I just think it's really well done. And another thing is, at least towards the end, when Clue has the chance to kill Kevin, he chooses not to, even though he feels like he hurt him, he betrayed him. He still chooses not to because I think deep down he loves Kevin. That is like his father, and he couldn't bear himself to kill his own creator, no matter how angry he was. But bottom line, what I'm trying to say is that Clue is a very well written character, and I absolutely love him in this film. He's one of my favorite villains ever put into film, and just one of my favorite Disney villains. So it kind of sucks that the villain for the next movie paled in comparison to him. But Clue is fantastic. I absolutely loved him in this movie. But that's really all I got for characters. I think all the characters are really good. I enjoyed all of them. They're all really good characters. Another guy I guess I could give props is Zeus, mainly because Michael Sheen is just entertaining in the role. But that's really it, honestly. I love the characters in this movie, and they're one of the reasons why I keep going back to this film and watching it, because the characters are so good. So let's get into, I guess, what's my final thing I got, my final positive thing I got for this movie, because I don't want to get too rambly in this video, even though I feel like I have gone rambly. But let's get into the last thing I love about this movie. And the main thing I really love about Tron Legacy, it's its religious themes. There are actually quite a number of religious themes in this movie, and the way it's done in the film is very deep and thought-provoking, in my opinion. For example, the creator and creation. Kevin Flynn is like a godlike figure who created the grid, similar to God, our Christian creator. And particularly, he also made Clue in his image. Then we have what's the fall. The creation of Clue represents a fall from grace, when Clue becomes more prideful and evil and arrogant. He also seeks to usurp his original creator, kind of like how, Satan seeks to usurp God and wants to get the forbidden knowledge, basically our world. He wants to go to our world and put his skewed view on perfection into our world. He seeks the apple, which is our world, and in this movie's case, Kevin's disc. Or the fallen. The programs who serve under Clue are kind of like the fallen angels or rebellious forces that are used in this story. He corrupts them, kind of like how the devil corrupts fallen angels. And of course, the Christ-like figure, which in this movie's case is Sam, who is sent from the real world to the grid to save the grid and to save his father, to save Korra from the evil within, which is Clue and his fallen angels. Those are just some of the examples I got for how this movie uses religious symbolism, and I just think it's really, really well done. It makes the film more thematically enriching, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not gonna get too knee deep into that because there are a bunch of videos talking about the religious subtext of Tron Legacy, and I think they're all very well done and honestly a lot better than I can explain it. But that's just one of the things I love about this movie, at least the main thing, its themes and how it encourages you to research all this stuff, to learn more about it. And I just think it makes the film a lot more interesting to dissect amongst friends talking about it, what the symbolisms are, what these characters represent. It's just really, really interesting. And I think that is the biggest thing I love about this movie. It's thematically rich, in my opinion. And I feel like this film doesn't get enough credit. Tron Legacy doesn't get enough credit for its themes that it's trying to tell. And I absolutely love it. I think it's very well done, and it's the biggest positive I can give this film. But yeah, overall, I love Tron Legacy. I think it is an amazing film. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of negative things to say about it. I already kind of put that out in my intro, but I think it's a really good movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I said, I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to add to the praise that this movie's been getting for the past couple years and just give you my thoughts on why I love Tron Legacy. I think it is a beautiful, fantastic film that has stood the test of time, in my opinion, and it's very underrated. It's a shame it didn't get the love it deserved back then, but again, nowadays that doesn't really matter. It gets a lot more love nowadays, and I think it's a shame we never got the original version of Tron 3. As much as I like Ares, I would have preferred a direct follow-up to Tron Legacy, or I would have preferred to see what Tron Ascension would have been with the cast of characters used in this movie in the third film. And it's a shame that we're never going to get that now because unfortunately Ares bombed, and this might be the end of Tron, unfortunately. But Tron Legacy, this movie in my opinion will always stand the test of time. I absolutely love Tron Legacy. I think it's a movie you should all watch, especially watch on a second time, because I know, like I said, maybe back then you didn't like it, but I think on a second viewing you will appreciate this movie a lot more. I could be wrong, but I love it. I always loved this movie ever since I was a kid. I watched it a lot as a kid, and as an adult, I grew to appreciate it more, especially for its themes. I just think it's a really, really good film, and it's easily top 10 or even top 5 favorite films of all time for me. So if I ever do that list, expect this movie to be in it. But yeah, those are my 2 cents on Tron Legacy. If I were to rate it, I'd give it 5 stars. And I'm not taking that back. Like, unashamedly, I give it 5 stars. It's not a perfect movie, but damn it, it's close to perfection, and I absolutely loved it. But yeah, that's it from me.